Seventh graders, talking about exponents and powers today. So exponents again, the little number, right? It tells you how many, what? Yeah, how many times to multiply the base times itself. Yep. And so if it's just the first power, that means you only use one base. It's the second power, then you multiply the base times itself. It's the third power, you multiply the base times itself 3 times, and so on. What about the 0 power? This is a rule for the 0 power. You know what the 0 power rule is? Liv?
Times it by 0?
No, not times it by 0. It's just automatically
0?
any number to the 0 power equals 1. Well, in a sense, that's where it comes from, yes. It comes from division. It comes from if you have a number to the first power over a number to the first power, or you have a number over the same number, then you have a number to the 0 power, which is 1. So that's where it comes from. Now, what you're going to be doing today is practicing finding the answer, evaluating expressions with powers, with exponents. And what you'll need to do is remember that when you substitute a number in for a variable, you should always put it in parentheses. Sometimes you will have a situation like this, where you have a negative sign, and then a letter, and then the power. Okay? And so, in that case, when you put the number in, it affects the answer. The negative sign is not part of the power. The negative sign is separate from the power. This is like just x to the third power and then make it negative. Okay? We're going to practice that today with this worksheet. So, I'll show you what we're doing here. There we go. Now, what you're going to look for when you're doing this is you're going to look for the parentheses with powers. Look at number 1. It's a negative a in parentheses and then squared. And that parentheses, I want you to think of that parentheses as kind of like hugging the number. In other words, it's part of the base in that power. What is the number for a that's given? What number are we supposed to use for a to evaluate that? Megan? 10. Yep. So, on the line, this negative sign is inside the parentheses, then parentheses, and then the 10 was on the line. And so what does this mean? It means negative 10 times negative 10. What does that equal? It means 100. Yep. So write 100. Negative 10 times negative 10. Because the negative is inside the parentheses. Now, on the next line, the minus sign is outside, and there's no parentheses. So what we have to do is we have to put this 10 in for just the letter A. So the minus sign, then put the parentheses and put 10. Because the parentheses aren't written there. So now we have negative 10 squared, and the negative sign is outside the parentheses. So that means this, negative 10 times 10. The exponent only goes to whatever is in the parentheses. And the minus sign is outside the parentheses. So how is this answer different? Negative 10 times 10. Nate?
So you do the stuff in the parentheses, which equals 100, then you add the negative sign.
Right. So what's in the parentheses is 100, and then the minus sign is outside the parentheses, so then that goes n at the end. It makes it negative at the end. Instead of doing negative 10 times negative 10, which equals a positive answer, this one is negative, and then parentheses, 10 times 10. And so that makes it a negative answer. Let's see if we can see the pattern here on this one. When you put the negative 10 in for A, so here the parentheses are already there, and where would the negative sign be? Inside or outside the parentheses?
Inside.
Inside. So this time it's negative 10 times negative 10 again. What does that equal? 100. Positive 100.
Can you do the same thing over and over again?
No, because now we're putting in a negative 10 in for A.
One negative A.
Ah, but the negative, right, the negative sign is next to the A. So now we have that negative sign again outside of the parentheses. And what's inside the parentheses? Positive or negative 10?
Negative.
Look,
Negative.
look, what are we substituting in for A? Negative 10, right? So again, negative 10 times negative 10, which is then negative